Hello everyone, Linda Israel here, and I have been working in the journal I made to record my junk journal July journals that I made during my personal channel challenge in July to make a junk journal every single day in July. I have a tutorial on how I made the junk journal, though I will show you where that is. And then today what I'm going to do is I'm making my last entry into this journal. So I want to show you what I am doing and how to do it. You know, junk journals are personal preference. It all depends upon your style, the way that you like to journal. Some people use it as an art journal. Some people like to write stories, add photos, add memorabilia, whatnot. So this particular journal has writing space and then places for me to add my photo. I have made little tags to show which date each one goes to. Some of the pages I wrote directly on. Some of the pages I made little journaling cards. The papers that are in this are mostly papers that were going to be thrown away. There were old agendas, old newsletters, some paper that had letterhead on that is no good anymore. So that's what the foundation of these pages. And then I've added in some scrapbook paper and some old book pages. I also found this little notepad that I cut in half. There's two parts to it. Let me see if I can show you the other side. And I think I have to go... Did I do the same? I think I just cut them in half. And so this is one side. Oh, here's the other side that says remember. And it was blank. So this was two pieces, were one big page, but it wasn't big enough to make a page where I could write on it. And it was too big to have as just one full page sticking out for the size of journal that I made. So as you can see, I've done a few things where I've added a photo directly on the page, and then I've made a little booklet for those that I had more pages, and I wrote what they were on the pages and on the booklets. I just used a Sharpie. This is one of those no bleed Sharpie with a little fine point. You can usually get them a package of 1 or 2. This one says fine. And that's what I wrote on the pages with. I like having a smooth journal because I like to write in the journal itself. A lot of people like to write on another piece of paper and then add it in. So that's just personal preference. So you can kind of see how I added the photo, the date, wrote inside the journal the different things about what I was working on at that time. And it was fun. I liked having the opportunity to write about and remember each journal so that I can share this with others. I can sit down and look at it. I also wrote down when the journal was for sale and if it sold, how much it was, that kind of thing. So you can kind of see that I just add all kinds of things about the journals. This was the Traveler's Notebook Journal, and I just was very fortunate to be with the Calico Collage design team, and we decided because of July there was some things going on personally with Norella. She couldn't really publicize a lot on her channel, so we ended up making a journal. There were 6 of us, so it was really cool to see all these different journals made from the same digital kit. Check that out. I'll have the eye there for the Traveler's Notebook Journal. So as you can see, I've got lots of things that I've written in here. I've actually made this journal too big for my project because I wasn't sure how I was going to journal about it, and I tried to use as much space as possible, and I probably could have written bigger and added even more photos, but this is just what I did so far. So there's July 30th, and then here is my blank spot for July 31st. I have a little tag punch that I made this. I stamped those letters with Brutus Monroe ink and some stamps that I already had. I used the Tim Holtz Black Soot Distress ink and a distressing tool and just run around the edge, so I have that ready. And I'm going to attach this to my journal using a little bit of some tacky glue. It doesn't take a lot. I just want enough to have it stick to the page. I'm just going to stick it right there. And then I printed, this one was one of my favorite journals. So I printed a bunch of photos. I have 20 photos here that I printed to go with this journal. And I've started to write the description. It was Flowers and Lace Junk Journal. It was 5.5 inches wide by 7.75 inches tall, 1.75 inch spine. There are 3 signatures with 10 sheets of paper for a total of 120 pages. It was $89 and I sold it to Corianne Curtis, one of my YouTube followers that I adore because she's so kind and leaves me great messages and buys some of my journals. So I cut my pages, my photos, by adding 4 to a page and printed those, and then I just cut them out. So this one had been cropped so it was bigger so you could see the actual image, and then these I left the same size consistently. Move my journal up out of the way a little bit. Let's make sure we're still in frame. Okay, so here is what I have done and decided to do for these photos of the junk journal that I made in July. I took some 12 by 12 scrapbook paper and cut it at 4 inches. So I have 4-inch strips, and then I folded those in half. And then I've got the Distressed ink here by Tim Holtz. And I just went around the edge. So I'm going to finish this one so you can kind of see the process, if you will. I did the black soot because I liked the dirty that it kind of added, and it goes really well with this lavender cardstock. You don't have to use cardstock. You can use whatever you want. That's the beauty of a junk journal. I have a bunch of cardstock. Some of it is great paper, and some of it's kind of paper. But for this project, it's perfect because I don't really care too much about how it looks, other than I chose purple to match the rest of my journal. So you can kind of see real time how long it takes to put ink around one sheet of paper. So that's inked up on both sides. And I have, we'll get this 1 sheet of paper, 2, 3, 4, 5. So doing that gives me 20 surfaces, because there's 4 surfaces to a sheet of paper when you fold it in half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Hopefully that's clear. A lot of people are confused about how many pages are in a journal. If they're folded in half, count 1 sheet of paper as 4 and then multiply that. So if you have a signature of 5 sheets of paper, then you know that it's going to be 20 pages. Hopefully that makes sense. So what I've got here is the cover of the journal that I made. This was a fabric that I printed with my inkjet printer, and then I sewed on top of another piece of fabric onto my chipboard. And I'm going to just adhere this down with a little bit of some Crafter's glue stick here. This is something that I picked up Jot at, I believe it was Dollar Tree, of all things, right after the back of to school. The supplies are very easy to find, and so I went ahead and bought a package of this because it comes in handy for thin pieces of paper like this. When I printed my images, I just printed it on standard copy paper, but I have a laser printer, so it gives it that beautiful sheen and shine. And I just did it on regular paper because I knew I was going to attach it to another piece, and I didn't want too much bulk. So there's the first photo on here. I'm going to go ahead and write the date. And my handwriting is awful. Some people love it. Some people hate it. It's mine. And I know that I wrote it because I can recognize the handwriting. So I'm just going to write July 31st, of Junk Journal, July. Fabric and lace. So I'm just going to write that on there, and then I'm going to adhere the rest of these photos to the page using the same method. I'm putting my last image on my little booklet that I'm making. I didn't write anything while I pasted. I just put them on there, and I'll go back and write on this later. But now that I have all of the photos on here, and I know that I am finished adding and won't need any more photos, I need to make a template so I can punch holes down the side. So here's what I've done. I've cut a piece of leftover, this is a little thin chipboard, to be 2 inches wide by 4 inches tall. That's the height of my book. I folded it in half and scored it so I knew where the center was. Right dead center, so the 2-inch mark, I made a dot. And then about 3/4 of an inch from each end, I made a dot. And now what I'm going to do is use my awl. So this is an awl, it has a pointy end on it. And I'm going to poke a hole in all 3 spots. It's important to write which side is top if you're going to do multiple signatures. A signature is a grouping of papers. So in this case, it was 5 pieces of paper. So that could be a signature. In my case, it's just going to be a finished little journal. Then what I'll do is I'll put it in the center of the journal. So making sure that I've got all the pages going the right direction. I have all of them opened up so I can sew through the center. And then I'll take a giant paper clip and hold the pages in place so they don't move. Now, I don't need to hold the template down because I'm going to use my fingers to do that. And then I'll use my awl, and you can use a bookbinder's cradle. If you can hold it in there, you can do that. You can use fun foam. You can use an old book and be able to push down and get some pressure. But for the most part, since this is fairly thin, I'll be able to do it by hand. So I'm just going to go straight down through the center, and it'll poke out through the back. And that ensures that all those pages are nested together. There are many techniques out there. Some people don't like to fold their paper first. They like to wait till the end. They don't want to make creases. So it just kind of depends on what you like to do. I'm doing what's called a pamphlet stitch. So you poke 3 holes and then you sew through it. You can use wax linen thread. That's my preferred. You can use crochet thread. You can use embroidery floss if you use all the strands. Don't just pull one strand. You can use baker's twine if you want as well. So here I've got a piece of wax linen thread, and it is approximately 4 lengths of my 4-inch spine. So 3 lengths, not 4, because I was thinking 4 inches. So it's about that. This was just a scrap left over from when I was making another journal. I like to save them because you can use them for stuff like this. So I'm going to start in the center. It comes out through the spine. I'm going to hold my thumb on the tail. I'm going to find the hole on the outside and come back to the inside. I'm going to pull these opposite directions so that's nice and tight. I'm going to go down through the center. And then I'm going to come back up on the outside on that last hole to the inside. I pull again to make sure that these are all snug, and I'm going to slip my needle underneath that top thread and pull down. Again, I'm going to ensure that these are tight. They're tight here as well. And then I just tie a square knot. So that's just where you fold it over, tie, and I'm going to tie a second square knot. And here you can decide if you want to add embellishments to the tails or just cut them off. I'm going to leave mine for now. Maybe I'll come back later when I'm bored and add something to those. But there's my little booklet that I made that's going to go in my junk journal. I'll go through here and write things like, this is a journal charm, and I have a video for that. I also have a video for this journal that I made, so I'll put the eye up there for each one. So this was a journal charm. And there is a video. This is the inside cover. So I had paper here, and I made a little pocket, and then that begins the first signature of my book. I use lots of stamping, so there has stamping. And I've got, this page is a notebook page, and it's got some real pretty color, and that one as well. And that was from Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. The images that I use throughout this journal, like this page here, those are from Calico Collage Flower and Lace. It was volume 1 and 2 that I used in this journal. And there's a flower, it's a mason jars. It's called Flower Mason Jar Tags. Those are a freebie on Calico Collage. And I'm going to write on here, Calico Collage Digital Journal Kit used. So I'll just go through these and add little notes if I want, and that will be some of my journaling. So I've written on my little book that I made, and this will slide into this pocket right here. And then I'm going to write some notes on this side of the page talking about this journal a little bit. So let's say July 31st. And then I'll go in and add some little notes. I'm just adding some washi tape over the printed paper because I want it to match a little better the colors that are inside my journal. Kind of covers up that stripe just a little bit, gives a different texture. So there is my notes that I've written about my junk journal. So we'll kind of go over that. I've already read to you what I wrote on this side. Here is my little book that I made, July 31st of Junk Journal July, Fabric and Lace, Calico Collage, Digital Journal Kit used. And then I wrote journal charm. There is a video, inside cover, stamping, Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, dictionary pocket, sewed lace to tag, cut a page apart for the lace edge. So that's what I did here. So this actually was in the center of a 2-page spread, and I cut it apart to make that pretty lace edge. I used an old book page to make a pocket. I did that on both sides here. This is a greeting card that's tag shaped that I used in the journal to journal upon. You can untie this if you want and be able to get to both pieces of the paper, both sides. Paper doily. This is a square paper doily that's folded in half so it becomes a tuck spot. Has a Calico Collage butterfly on top. This one I put a journaling card inside. This mason jar is a freebie from Calico Collage, and I used my silhouette to cut it out, so I didn't have to hand cut it. This was a pocket that I made using an old book page and fussy cutting the roses out and then attaching it back on top of the page that I took the image from. This is one of the envelopes and a card that comes in the kit. This is a coloring page on this side. I like using coloring pages because when you journal, you may want to just color that particular day, so it gives an opportunity to do that. Love the paper from Calico Collage. It's such a beautiful digital kit. I use graph paper and notebook paper in my journals. Of course, lots of Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. Pink Odd Bird Origami Pocket. It's the Potacalope. She has a video on that, and I've kind of redone it as well in several of my videos. And then, I think this is the last page, or the last inside back cover with a little pocket that I made out of a cricket picket fence. So those are my photos. This is my journaling. I wrote that I love using the Calico Collage Digital Journal Kits, Flower and Lace, Volume 1 and 2. I also used a freebie, mason jars. For the cover, I printed on fabric. Love how the printed fabric turned out. Did a tutorial on this journal and a tutorial on making journal charms to go with it. And then I just wrote that it was a self-made challenge to make junk journals every day in July. I completed my goal, and I'm very happy I decided on this challenge. Making so many gave me new ideas of journal themes and sizes. There are so many comments on this journal for the flowers and lace. Lots of views on YouTube. I'll be making another one of these JJ soon. Loved using my sewing machine on this journal. So there are several pages that I had left over because I wasn't really sure how much I would use when I was journaling about all my junk journals that I made in July. I still have some journal cards and tags that I've slipped inside this front pocket. And then there's some more journal cards in this back pocket. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I do for some of my journaling in my Junk Journal July journal that I made. If you have any questions, please comment below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and share it with your friends. And also check out the friendly Junk Journal People Facebook group. I call it the FJJP for short. And of course, check the description box for links to the group, to links to my shop if you're interested in any of my journals that I make, or if you want to contact me about making a custom journal for you. Again, thanks so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.